To get notified of all new videos when they drop, and to help support the channel, smash that sub button and click the bell icon. Hello everyone, Taki here. This is a comprehensive range gearing guide for Runescape 3. The guide is very detailed, so I've included timestamps in the description box below. Feel free to skip around to the sections that are relevant to you. Let's get into it. If you're new to PVM, or you haven't been bossing for a long time, you need to know the difference between tank and power armor. Power armor should be used in almost every single circumstance. Tank armor is only really useful when you're first learning a boss, or when survivability is not possible with power armor. The thing that you need to know here is that a boss that lives longer can deal more damage to you, negating the benefits of using tank armor in low to mid-tier bosses. A decent starter set for power armor is full Armidile, and it's a great value at 15 mil. This is going to be the base DPS set for range that you can upgrade as you get better at bossing, and it will last you from low to high level tier bosses. When you get better at bossing, you can upgrade the pieces and save them for Slayer. It includes an 87 range bonus. From here we move on to the tier 80 set of Anima Core of Zamorak, and it has a price to match. It is a minor upgrade over Armidile, so you can completely skip this. It lacks a prayer bonus, but it does include a higher defense and range bonus. Pernix is the only armor set that is a direct upgrade over every piece of Armidile. It requires 80 defense and 80 constitution. The only downside to using this set is that it has a degrade mechanic, meaning that you will be spending a lot of money repairing the items. It has a much higher armor, life point, prayer, and range bonus versus the other armors in this tier. In tier 82 we have Elite Robin, and this requires 80 defense and 40 range. It's cheaper than using the Pernix chests and chaps. It's worth using if you augment it. It has no life point or prayer bonus, but it does have a higher range modifier. At tier 88 we have my favorite set, which is Superior Morgans, and this is a great value at 15.8 mil for the entire set. It requires 88 defense to use and has nearly identical stats to Serenic, making it a great value if you have Invention unlocked. It has no life point or prayer bonus, and it degrades to dust, but it does have a very high armor rating and an 83 range bonus. And finally at tier 90 we have Serenic at 38 mil. Serenic requires 90 defense to use. It's the best DPS armor in the game, but it degrades to dust. Due to its high upfront cost, this is only worth using if you have Invention unlocked. It includes a 7 bonus to prayer and 86 to range. From here we move on to tank gear, and the first set that I wanted to talk about is Carol's. This requires 70 defense and 70 range to use. It's a very cheap starter armor set, being 4.4 mil, and it includes a 964 defense bonus. From here we move on to Death Lotus, and this requires 85 defense to use. There are 2 different versions of this set. The superior set is unlocked from player-owned ports. This set really shines when DPS is not your primary concern. Death Lotus includes a very high defense and life point bonus that can make living through mechanics while you're learning a boss extremely easy. And finally we have Tempest. This requires 90 defense, it has no cost. It's a rare drop from raids. There are 2 different versions of this, and it's extremely useful for high-end bossing. Tempest, like all other raid gear, has a chance to reset defensive cooldowns, which is extremely useful when you are performing a tanking role. And finally we have a set that doesn't see too much use anymore, and this is the Superior Elite Void set, and the primary reason to use this is its +3 bonus to accuracy and 7 bonus to damage. This is useful if you do not have Invention. You can use this at bosses like Rax, Nex, and AOD, or any other boss where it's difficult to receive a 100% hit chance. Capes are fairly straightforward. From left to right, we have Obsidian with a +17 bonus, a Cape of Accomplishment with +21, the Alerter or Max Cape with +26, the Fight Killin' Cape with +31, and for you completionists out there, +43. There's a little bit more variance and utility with necklaces. From left to right, we have Glory, Dragon Rider, Amulet of Ranging, Fury T being a really great value right now at 1 mil, Amulet of Souls, and Amulet of Souls Ornate. There are 2 situational necklaces that you can use. The first is the Reaper necklace, and this will help you reach 100% accuracy on any bosses where you cannot receive 100% accuracy. And aside from this, we have the Amulet of Zealots, and this is extremely useful when you lack tier 95 or better prayers. In the glove slot, we have a fair amount of utility. Going from left to right, we have Demon Slayer, which is a cheaper alternative to Armidile. Then from Armidile, we have Pernix, Ascension Grips, and Nightmare Gauntlets. Nightmare Gauntlets provide a very nice 25% hit chance when using Snipe, while also allowing you to walk the ability. This is very useful in any boss battle with high movement. From here we have some situational gloves, and my favorite are the Swift gloves. These require a ton of time to unlock for free, but they provide a 5% chance to fire an additional auto attack or basic ability. This attack will do 25% damage, bind the target, and lower their magic, range, and defense by 7 level. The gloves can also reduce incoming range damage by 50%. From here we have the hybrid Cinderbane gloves with nearly identical stats to Armadile. These gloves provide the chance to poison the target, making it extremely useful on any monster or boss that can be poisoned. And finally we have Death Touch Bracelet, and this provides a 1 in 5 chance of reflecting 25 to 50% damage back onto targets. For tank gloves, we have Mercenaries, which is unlocked from Dungeoneering, Tracking Gloves, which are extremely cheap right now, Death Lotus, which is unlocked from the Arc, and Acto, which is unlocked from Raids. The ring slot is pretty straightforward. Your top priority is going to be to unlock the Asylum Surgeon's ring. Going from left to right, we have the Archer's ring, Luck of the Dwarves, 6th Age Circuit, and the Asylum Surgeon's ring. For situational rings, we have the Luck of the Dwarves, which you would want to switch to right before a boss is about to die. We have the Ring of Vigor from Dungeoneering, which you would want to use right before using an ultimate. And we have the Ring of Death, which is only useful when your death reclaim cost is higher than charging the ring. Boots are very straightforward. We have Power and Tank. From left to right, we have Kurask, Armadile, Pernix, and Flare Frost. Flare Frost has a really high upkeep cost, so it's not really worth using over Pernix or Armadile. For Tank, we have Royal, Death Lotus, Glaven, and Acto. There is a lot of utility in the aura slot, but we are primarily going to be focusing on auras that increase DPS. You are going to want to prioritize the auras on the left versus the right. The first aura that you should pick up is the Reckless aura, which requires 50k loyalty points. Reckless increases your range damage, accuracy, and level by 10%, making it possible to have over 125 range level. The only downside to using this aura is that you will take 15% more damage from monsters. From here we have Sharpshooter, and you should only be using this when Reckless is on cooldown and you don't have 100% hit chance on a boss. Sharpshooter increases range accuracy from anywhere from 3 to 10% depending on the tier of your aura. The tiers have a cumulative cost of 107k points. And finally we have Dark Magic, which will give you a little bit of a DPS increase. This costs 42.5k loyalty points. There's a lot more variability in the pocket slot. From left to right we have Scrimshaw of Cruelty, which gives you a 5 to 6% damage increase. Use this when you have 100% accuracy. And on the right we have Scrimshaw of Ranging. This will boost your accuracy from 2 to 4% depending on your tier. Use this to help you reach 100%. This is useful on bosses like Rax, Nex, and any other boss where it's difficult to reach 100% accuracy. Then we have the Illuminated God books, and from left to right we have the Book of Law, Wisdom, and Chaos. They have identical stats, but they have different damage on proc, with Law being the best and Chaos providing the best value for almost identical damage. And finally we have the Berserker Blood Essence. This is very useful if you don't have overloads, as it can boost your offensive stats by 14% plus 2, making stat boosts over 136 very possible. There is a lot of utility in the shield slot, and being proficient at shield use is going to be very important in higher level bossing. From left to right we have the Dragonfire Deflector, we have the Arma Buckler, the Elysian Spirit Shield, the Eagle Eye Kite Shield, and the Vengeful Kite Shield. The Deflector is only worth using if you don't have access to super anti-fire potions and you're wanting to fight Queen Black Dragon or King Black Dragon. You can skip over the Armadile Buckler. The Elysian Spirit Shield has a very nice passive effect to eliminate 30% of all incoming damage at the expense of your prayer points. The Eagle Eye Kite Shield gives you a very nice life point bonus, and the Vengeful Kite Shield is your best in slot shield with a 9% PVM reduction and a 735 life point boost. If money isn't an issue, the Elysian Spirit Shield is a great value right now at 9.9 mil. The 30% damage reduction at the cost of prayer points will make it very easy for you to fill out and learn some tanking roles in higher end bosses. If you're using two-handed range, it's going to be pretty mandatory that you have either a dark bow or a strike bow. These will provide you the ability to use shield abilities while still being in combat. The dark bow has a 7% PVM reduction, while the strike bow has an 8.5 and a 560 life point boost. And finally we have the range counterpart to defenders. These act as a shield half their tier. They allow you to use dual wielding and shield abilities. They give you a nice 3% accuracy boost and give you a 1 in 15 chance to reduce an attack by 50 to 100% and give you a 20% accuracy increase. There are two things that you need to take into account when you're going to pick out a weapon. You should pick out a weapon based on its accuracy and overall damage, including ammunition. From left to right we have the Crystal Bow and the Attuned Crystal Bow. The Attuned Crystal Bow provides around 3% extra DPS when compared to the Zerati Bow, which has identical accuracy and damage stats. And then from here we have the Hex Hunter bow, which is a tier 80 bow, but acts as a tier 92 or above bow when fighting a magic classed monster. The Zarite bow is a decent weapon that's very cheap at the moment. It has the benefit of not requiring any ammunition, but it does degrade. Decimation might seem like a cheaper alternative to the Noxious bow at 25 mil, but it lacks a lot of weapon damage that comes from the Racksite arrows. This is a nice weapon to use if you're going to be fighting a boss with many monsters, as its special attack allows your abilities to act as area effect attacks for 10 seconds. And finally, the difference in damage between the Noxious Longbow and the Saren Godbow is very negligible, making the Noxious Longbow the best value for your money in the tier. There's really only 3 two-handed weapons worth talking about. The hand cannon is a very cheap tier 75 weapon with cheap ammunition. The Royal Crossbow is also very nice, and it can be made by fighting the Queen Black Dragon. It's arguably the best value in the tier 80 range and has very decent stats. And finally, the Wyvern Crossbow is a cheap weapon with decent accuracy that provides a very nice damage over time effect that stacks with Weapon Poison and Cinderbane gloves. Carol's pistols and Armadile crossbows are nice entry weapons if you want to try out dual-handed range. I wouldn't necessarily go for chaotic crossbows now unless you have tokens to spare, as they don't have too many uses once you can afford something better. Ascension crossbows are fairly cheap now and can be potentially made for a profit if you decide to make them by fighting Ascension bosses like I did. These weapons are very good with the brand new criminal bolts that were added this year. And finally we have the Blight-bound crossbow, and this has very high accuracy and also benefits from 2 tiers of increased damage from Emerald or higher criminal bolts. And finally, some miscellaneous weapons in the tier. You can make Superior Morgan's javelins and axes for super cheap and combine them with an offhand for more damage. Shadow Glaives are a nice tier 85 weapon with tier 90 accuracy, although they're a little pricey compared to other weapons in their tier range. Mechanized Chinchompas provide a massive DPS increase on AoE fights like AoD. And finally, the Sunspear provides a very nice planted feet switch. That's it for this one. Until next time, Taki out.